r/AskReddit by Redmond Dtes. Lawyers of Reddit, what is the dumbest thing your client has done to ruin a case? I was on a jury where the defendant showed up in court day 1, wearing the same exact outfit as the unknown suspect in the video of the crime. It took only a few seconds before the judge immediately called a stoppage. All lawyers went into the back with the judge and they came out like 7 minutes later, as announced the defendant had taken the plea deal. Wild. Client was being sued and didn't like the opposing counsel or the judge, so he left the court a bunch of voicemails so profane that he was subject to a criminal contempt of court hearing. With the utmost certainty in his voice, he yelled at the arresting officer that it's not domestic violence, I'm on public property. You could tell from his face he really thought he had the cop over a barrel on this one, but not my client, but the petitioner attorney's client. The man claimed workers' compensation and threw the kitchen sink at us, meaning he basically listed just over half of his body parts on the claim petition stating that he injured each one. He was full of it, and my firm knew it. Anyways, we were going to trial, and the day before we ran one more social media search. This absolute freaking moron posted a video of him winning a breakdance competition that was only a few months after the alleged work incident. Never saw a quicker dismissal in my life. Not an attorney, but one client of ours baffles me to this day. He had multiple cases, including aggravated battery and drug possession. At the insistence of dude's family, we moved heaven and earth getting him a bond so that he could get out of jail and live with said family until the case was over. The whole process took weeks. Less than a day after getting out, he was caught stealing $16 worth of batteries from Target. Bond revoked. To be fair, the line between stupidity and compulsion is blurred with this one. Edit. For anyone who's curious, we immediately ordered a psychiatric evaluation for him. He was found competent, but it also confirmed what he had: mental health issues. The aggravated battery charge ended up being dropped, and he took a plea for time served. My wife's lawyer bans all clients from using social media after he lost a big case. Wrongful death lawsuit where a man's wife was killed. Easy money. They were about to settle until the other side found his pictures online from a club a week after his wife died, getting a lap dance wearing a shirt that said "I love MILFs." Apparently they didn't think he had much pain and suffering anymore. Not in the United States, but the judge asked if the defendant was remorseful. If you show regrets, you can have some leniency. No. The guy didn't understand the question, and when he doesn't, he just usually says no. Not a lawyer, heard this story from a guy I used to work with. His brother-in-law got injured at work and was suing for a hefty sum. Case was pretty much open and shut. All the evidence was in the brother-in-law's favor. Until the brother-in-law started talking. They asked him to tell them about the day of the accident. Brother-in-law started out fine until he gets to the way he approached the piece of equipment that injured him. He tell everyone that there was a note on it stating that it was out of order. Brother-in-law then says that he discarded the note and started up the piece of malfunctioning equipment as he had a job to get done. That easy win was discarded faster than that out of order sign. Client added 9 years to a short sentence. He got like a year or 2 for being involved in a drag race that the other guy crashed and severely injured someone else. Then towards the end of his short prison term he tried to escape, got 9 more years for prison escape. He became friends with John Lennon's killer in New York prison, which was interesting. The worst ones are the ones who think they are smarter than they are. When it comes time for depositions, broad sweeping statements of how I would never allow discrimination in my office and how I'm 100% sure I never said that are a great way to destroy your own credibility, set yourself up to get eviscerated by opposing counsel, and ultimately turn a nuisance value bullshit case into something worth 6 figures. Moral of the story: If you're going to ignore the entire day of deposition prep I did with you, just so you can protect your own fragile ego on the record, at least do me the courtesy of telling me to F off ahead of time. I had an instructor who was a prosecutor. He called a witness who had seen the whole thing and had an interest in seeing the defendant punished. Slam dunk case. She thought she was on TV. She overacted every word. Completely embellished the retelling of the events. Didn't lie, but she was the center of her version of events. He said you could see the faces of the jury members sour minute on minute. He lost the case. Not an attorney, worked in a firm. Workers' compensation claim. Guy falls down at work and claims he injured many different body parts, shoulder, knees, back. We tell him to stay off social media. No problem, he doesn't use social media. At trial, he tells the judge he used to be a spin class instructor, but since the accident, he cannot teach classes anymore. Well, turns out, he continued to teach these classes after his injury. This was proved by the hours of surveillance the insurance company did, showing him teaching and vigorously riding in spin class. How did the insurance company know he was still an active instructor? The guy posted his full teaching schedule on his Facebook page. His potentially very lucrative claim was quickly changed to a fraud claim against him. Not me, but a colleague. A wealthy client's son got picked up for drug dealing at a local music festival. The client bailed him out and then had his whole fancy law firm defend his son. The son shambled into the courtroom stoned off his ass and loudly attempted to buy drugs off the bailiff. There wasn't a lot the lawyers could do after that. Client was part of a group of active pedophiles. One of the others killed the boy, while several were involved with physically abusing him. Our guy's defense was that he was just a voyeur, so although he was there he was not involved in the actual murder. He was on bail the whole time including the trial, up to when he decided to change his story and say instead that he hadn't been there. His sister gave evidence that he'd come home that night covered in blood. He got a long time. Paralegal. Once had a convicted criminal explain to me how their murder charge should be overturned because the victim didn't die at the scene of the crime. The victim died at the hospital, therefore the defendant couldn't be charged with anything more than attempted murder. Anyone see the video of a guy doing an online court hearing for driving without a license? He answers the call while he's driving. Without a license. I was a legal clerk for a couple years in college. Still baffles me how this one made it all the way to trial. Lady slipped and fell at a chain restaurant, hurt her back irreparably, wanted a huge payout. Said she slipped on butter that was on the floor. On cross-exam she was asked what type of butter. Answer, the little pats of butter they put out in the buffet. Defense immediately recalled the store manager. The store had never used that type of butter. Case ended pretty quickly, lol. Around 1990 there was a guy on trial for armed robbery. He pled not guilty. A witness on the stand identified the defendant. The defendant jumped to his feet and roared, "I should have blown your head off when I had the chance." Pause, thinks, adds, "If I had been the one who robbed you." I once had a client who showed up to court wearing a t-shirt that said, "Guilty as charged." I wish I were joking. It was a credit card fraud case in the early part of my career. He actually wore the stolen clothes to court, and a clerk at the defrauded store identified them in front of the jury. I felt like the guy in the commercial that asks, "Want to be somewhere else?" Client returns to court drunk after lunch and adjournment. Falls asleep, and his head drops right into the side of the witness box, whereupon he proceeds to snore loudly. Custody case. Mom was bat crazy and flew that flag when she was recorded saying she was going to drive her SUV off the highest bridge in our city. With the 3 kids in the car. Days like that killed pieces of my soul. Assault case. When the witness took the stand, self-represented defendant screams. This witness is going to lie. There's no way he could have seen it. He wasn't around when I punched the victim. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.